Saturday morning time for the Experts program, and we have Luis Alvarez of the Alvarez Technology Group joining us right now. Good morning, Luis.
Good morning, Mark. How are you this wonderful week?
You know, I'm doing okay. It's an Easter weekend. We're going to have a different Easter this year, as everybody will. Yeah, we're just going to soldier on through this, and hopefully the end of the month, maybe we can start getting things back towards normal.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
That would be nice. I mean, it'll never be back to normal, I don't think, but at least we'll be able to get out and about, and I'd love to see some of the restaurants open up again and be able to just walk down Cannery Row or down in Carmel and downtown Salinas and feel like it's alive again.
Sure. Hey, there was a story that ran the other day on CNN that's really kind of interesting, and it has to do with an ancient computer language that is still in place in many government agencies, and it has to do with unemployment benefits. People have been filing for unemployment benefits because so many people have been thrown out of work by this coronavirus depression, and the mainframe computer systems that the various states use, they're all crashing because it turns out they are using computer systems that, the technology is 60 years old or so? What's going on here?
Yeah, a lot of the government systems that are in use today, these big mainframes were installed 40, 50 years ago, and they used a language called COBOL, Common Base Oriented Language. It was one of the first computer languages that was versatile enough to really create some very powerful programs, and it was the language that mainframes use by and large. And so like everything the government does, once something's in place and working, they just don't muck with it. They just leave it alone. And so these mainframes that are out there, and it's not just governments, by the way, there's many private companies that have mainframes that are at least that old that they use for everyday transactions because nobody knows how to convert it to something else. So these mainframes that states like New Jersey and Connecticut have been using are being overwhelmed because of the number of applications for unemployment benefits. And they were just never designed to take in that large volume of claims. So these states are out there beating the bushes looking for COBOL programmers that they can hire to help them modify the applications and modify the program so that they can handle a larger volume. The problem is there's not a lot of COBOL programmers out there. It's not a language that is taught at school anymore. If you take a computer science class, you won't even learn about it.
Right.
And the guys that are doing it some of them are in their 70s and 80s, if not older.
Yeah. So do you know any COBOL, or was that even out of the way when you came along, when you were a kid?
It was actually one of the first, along with BASIC, which was a PC programming language. COBOL I learned in school, mostly to just compare and contrast. It wasn't something that at the time anybody thought I'd ever be programming in, but it was good to learn it and, learn how to use, in some cases, punch cards for programming.
Right.
Where you would create a program using punch cards and then feed it into the computer for it to interpret what you were doing. So dating myself, but I think I was probably one of the last cohorts in the computer science program that learned COBOL.
So now are these systems stand alone? In other words, they're not on the net, so they can't be infiltrated by hackers and so forth?
Yep. They basically are the old green screen terminal type things, right? Okay. So they're hardwired to terminals. And in some cases, they have designed gateways that let PCs using something called terminal emulator connect to them through a gateway that's hardwired into the mainframe. But the mainframe itself, it really was never designed to be on a network per se. Okay. So you don't have Ethernet cards or, best case, you might have a token ring or one of these older protocols that were designed to work back in the mainframe days, but you're not going to see anything new in there.
So are they having any luck in finding old COBOL programmers to come in and help them repair these systems and keep them going, or even train new people on them?
They're having a lot of big tech companies like Google and IBM and HP have basically accelerated a training program for their current programmers to say, hey, look, if you can program in JavaScript and you can program in .NET, some of these newer languages, you can pick up COBOL pretty quick. So they're kind of doing a massive training program to get programmers to be able to help these companies and states and local governments that have mainframes that they need modified.
This kind of reminds me of same type of thing happened back in the 80s when the old World War II battleships were brought back into service. And one of the problems they ran into was there weren't any sailors that knew how to operate 16-inch guns or the old-fashioned steam turbine plants down in the engine room. So the Navy actually paid a bonus to have Korean War-era veterans and a few guys from the Vietnam War era come back into the service to work on the battleships and to train the younger guys on, well, this is how the firing system on a 16-inch gun works. This is how the engine system works down here, because none of that stuff had been in the Navy for a couple of decades. There really wasn't any sort of knowledge base left for that anymore. It was an interesting lifting challenge that they had guys that were in their 50s and 60s working down in an engine room or in a gun turret with guys that were like their grandkids' ages. It was amazing.
Yeah, necessity is the mother of invention, right? And if sometimes you need to go back and bring back these folks that have the knowledge to train people, it makes good sense. And I think that's what we're seeing in this new era of trying to adapt and be nimble.
But I would imagine that this incident, what's going on now with this coronavirus and all the different externalities that it's caused, this is actually going to maybe spur a lot of these governments across the country to want to upgrade from COBOL to more modern systems so they don't run into this problem again in a few years.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this is a wake-up call in a number of areas, not the least of which is how this deferred maintenance and reliance on technology that really has been obsolete for decades is causing problems. On the other side of this, hopefully they will invest the necessary resources to upgrade those systems and move them into modern technology that's more adaptable and more nimble than what they currently have.
Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, has been our guest this morning. Reach them at alvareztg.com on the web. At AlvarezTG is their Twitter handle. And Luis, the toll-free number for the I-Team, who are still available no matter what. How do folks get in touch with them?
Yeah, absolutely. If you need us, give us a call at 866-78-I-Team. That's 866-784-8326.